But how much taxpayers' money would you be prepared to spend to take half of the water industry into public control? That's the question.
Well, one thing we must not do is bail out any existing bondholders or shareholders. That absolutely has to be part of the deal.
So shareholders would be expected to give the companies to the government and the taxpayer for free without being compensated?
We got all this wrong back in 2008. We bailed out everybody at a massive, massive cost.
So you don't know how much it would be in any ballpark? 1 billion, 10 billion?
Of course not. We don't know what negotiations we're going to have. But it doesn't need to be a big sum of money if you incentivise private capital to come in and do the job properly.
Laura tries to put a price on partly public ownership. Farage changes the subject to tough bargaining instead of blank cheque socialism. She wants a scary number, but he shows her the real power is to renegotiate. Make sure you like and subscribe.
So you want to nationalise it, you want it in public ownership, but you can't put a price tag on that yet. It's interesting you say that, because when Jeremy Corbyn used to argue...
It used to be called public-private partnership, back in the days of Blair. We need to update that significantly.
When Jeremy Corbyn talked about nationalising water, you used to say his economics were from La La Land. So why is your proposal not from La La Land?
Look, we have Conservative and Labour governments who can't even build a railway, So do we want government running these things? No, but does the state need to get some degree of control over vital national assets? Yes.
Kuenssberg wants to depict reform as Corbyn-light, whereas Farage takes a middle ground, a strategic state stake, private management, and no taxpayer bailouts. Nothing like sweeping nationalisation.
I'm pushing for some massive cuts in spending. Get rid of the net zero agenda. Even the OBR, which is a sort of tool of the establishment, estimates the cost of that at £30 billion every year. We've highlighted the money the Bank of England wastes every year. Again, tens of billions over the QE programme. We've talked about saving huge amounts of money on HS2. So no is the answer.
Well, let's talk about some of the specifics, because times have changed a lot and your party is now in charge of billions of pounds through the councils that you run in England after your big successes in May. So there are decisions now that politicians in your party are making that we can look at carefully. A 19-year-old in your party is now the leader of Warwickshire Council, in charge of a budget of £500 million. He wants to spend £190,000 on hiring political assistants. Is that a good use of taxpayers' money?
The presenter says that partial ownership means greater taxes, but Farage argues with a net savings plan that shows her maths is wrong. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Well, at the moment, we're finding that we're very, very hamstrung. We're going into existing administrations. We're facing obstructionism in many places, and Warwickshire, a very, very good example. The CEO willfully defying what we want to do there. So, does this guy, George Finch, does he need some professional political figures around him? You bet your life he does. This is going to be a very big battle against the existing bureaucracies that exist in these councils who've been running bad practice for years.
So your answer is to take on more staff. You want to cut costs, but your answer in that particular council is to take on more staff and spend nearly another £200,000 of council taxpayers' money.
It's better to have staff who support the will of the democratically elected councillors than it is to have public sector staff opposing you.
Kuenssberg is focused on the headline wage, while Farage is focused on systemic sabotage, saying that spending money now would save money in the long run.
Well, let's look at another council, Staffordshire, your team that's meant to go in and hunt for savings, sort of modelled on Elon Musk's Doge efficiency team. Staffordshire Council says they've received no request or notification of the audit. Essentially, your team that's meant to be looking for savings hasn't turned up yet, even though you won in May.
They haven't. No.
They haven't turned up.
No, there are 13 of them for us to go around. You'll find in West Northamptonshire, we've just saved £1 million renegotiating an IT contract. Just one little example of what we can do. Bear in mind, we're not the Labour Party. We haven't got hundreds of staff. We're a party that's been really active for just over a year. We're growing in size. Yes, we have a Doge team. They've not been everywhere yet. But you've seen already, us highlighting examples of extravagant expenditure.
One council fizzles when Farage gets a real win somewhere else, proving that Reform's lean organisation is already better than the old parties.
Well, you've seen already also in Warwickshire, we've just discussed somebody wanting £200,000 on extra staff because they don't have the ideas themselves.
Once he's got the right staff, we can make some real savings.
We've also seen decisions, like in Lincolnshire, for example, where the council's got rid of the flood committee, except there have been floods.
Yeah, well, who says the flood committee would do any good? I mean, there is this assumption that you appoint committees, you launch inquiries, you do all these things, and they actually lead to any results. And we saw no evidence of that in Lincolnshire at all.
Kuenssberg stands up for bureaucratic optics, whereas Farage stands up for practical results. Farage wins easily with boardroom tokens over field expertise.
Well, I can tell you.
No idea.
Well, I can tell you what's happened there, and I can ask you whether you think this is the right thing to do. Scarborough Town Council has given its reform mayor a 600% pay rise.
I have no idea.
You don't know?
Whether what you say is true or not, I have no idea.
So is that the right thing to do in principle?
I have no idea. It's a town council, 600%. What's it from sort of...
It's a small amount, so a payment of £500 up to £3,500, which I know you're going...
I don't know. Is he doing it or she doing it as a full-time job? I have no idea.
But in principle, is that the right thing to do?
What we could do is just get multimillionaires to stand as candidates everywhere, and indeed... Our Doge team are doing the work unpaid, right? If people have got resources and want to do it for free, that's great. I don't know the Scarborough circumstances.
OK.
The presenter's micro-muck doesn't change the big picture of systematic saving.
You mentioned Dame Andrea Jenkins, who's now one of your elected mayors. She said this week she doesn't believe that climate change exists. Do you believe in man-made climate change?
Well, they're two separate questions.
Well, do you believe in man-made climate change?
Well, do I believe there's climate change? Yes. Does man have an influence? Impossible to think we haven't got some influence. As to what proportion it is, I've no idea.
But as a simple question of
no,
principle,
I know.
do you believe in
this is not my religion.
Change?
This is not my religion. I know it's the religion in Westminster now in a fairly godless age. It's not my religion. The real point about it is, are we going to deindustrialise Britain? There are 2.5 million manufacturing jobs left in Britain that are under threat and could be gone within the next decade, unless we change direction, and that particularly relates to energy policy.
And indeed there are billions of pounds worth of public policy decisions that depend on whether or not people believe the science and they believe in the kind of steps that people should be taken. But the science suggests very strongly, thousands of scientists would say this, the consensus is absolutely clear that man's activity has a significant impact on the climate.
Well, say it does.
And you have a senior figure in your party saying she doesn't believe in it.
Well, is that sufficient reason to defraud British taxpayers of billions of pounds every year, which is what we're doing in subsidising wind energy and solar energy for literally zero effect on global CO2 emissions? The same goes for closing our steel plants and moving the production to India. You know, we've got ourselves stuck in this mindset.
Laura sees belief as a binary dogma, while Farage sees policy as a cost-benefit reality. She asks about religion, and he answers with economics.
But whether that's a reason to transfer manufacturing to other parts of the world, whether that's a reason to have the most expensive energy prices for industry in the world, and to make the poor poorer in society for almost no benefit whatsoever, I doubt.
Well, plenty of people would disagree. In fact, people maybe watching this programme who work in green energy, who maybe work making, you know,
well, what about those that have lost their jobs? What about those that have lost their jobs in traditional industries and those that are threatened? You know, we are going to need huge amounts of steel, for example, over the next few years. We're going to need vast amounts of copper wire over the next few years. We're just not making this stuff here anymore. And we haven't actually helped reduce global CO2 emissions. We've just exported it.
Kuenssberg says thousands of scientists, and Farage says millions of lost industrial jobs. The audience feels the latter in their paychecks, not in peer-reviewed papers.
But the party's lost 2 of their 5 MPs recently, and life, well, maybe isn't that straightforward in the 10 councils they won control of either. But Nigel Farage is with us this morning. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Let's talk then about the water industry. You say you would want it 50% under government control, along with all utilities. How much would it cost to have 50% of the water industry under public ownership?
That depends what deal you do with the private sector investors. I mean, you know, we are in a hell of a mess with this. You know, an increase of the population by 10 million has left us completely incapable of coping. Companies have been badly run. I think we know all of that. We would look for private sector investment. The government can be a partner. It's all about what deal you strike, isn't it?
During the fight, Kuenssberg looks for embarrassing headlines, while Farage constantly bringing up faulty systems, squandered billions and practical fixes, turning every trap into a podium. Let us know what you think down below in the comments.